I noticed that a load of UIPickerView tutorials either run on the Storyboard or Programmatic or don't explain things very clearly. So I thought I'd make my own. Here it is. So here we are, a relatively simple app with a picker that appears when you click on this text field. And when you actually make the selection, it just puts the values into a property. They're not actually used in this implementation. A programmatic version and one which doesn't rely on that text field. So we're not expecting the code here to be too tricky. I'm not going to show the menu. It is all available in the GitHub repository anyway. So from the storyboard, what's happening here is we have those properties, which is where the hour, minutes, and seconds from the app are actually picked to. We have our text field, which is connected to the storyboard outlet. And then what are we actually doing to set up this picker view? Well, we need to have a delegate. And I've set this up in an extension. I'll talk that through in a second. And I've got a toolbar. And this toolbar has done just at the top of that picker. So if I bring back my simulator, the toolbar appears just here and it has done. So let's get rid of you again. And size to fit, so it fits the amount of space we have available. Nothing too exciting here. And the input view has to be set to the picker view. So the input for the text field is going to be the picker view. And the accessory view is going to be the toolbar, which has the done item on it. And when we've done, the view can end editing, and that makes the picker resign and disappear from the screen. So perhaps more interesting is this extension with the delegate and data source for the picker. So it says how many components we've got. We've got hours, minutes, and seconds. And they're just returned with some simple maths here. And here we have the width for the component, and we're making it a third for the hour, minute, and the second. And here, when we select the row, we're just setting those properties. So there's not too much exciting there, but that's a storyboard version. A programmatic version is going to need us to push the view controller in. And so fine, I've set that up. And then the programmatic version looks really familiar, except I have to set up constraints. And that means I've done it programmatically, which means also I'm not translating auto resizing mask into constraints, so I can set those to how I want it to be. And then I'm setting up the picker completely as before. So I'm setting up the text field first, then setting up the constraints, then setting up the picker. The constraints are the constraints for this text field, so I can't put set up text field after setting up these constraints. Arguably, I think I could put the constraints after setup picker, but in this case, I've chosen not to, and I think it's clear enough as it is. And the rest of the code, actually, is identical. So all I'm really concerned about is setting up the constraints and the setup text field part. The rest, totally familiar from the last file that I went through. Now to do the same with no text field, well, what's happening here is we don't have the text field at all, and so we have a button to make the picker appear. So appear picker view, and I've got an animation running to make that picker view appear. And I have an animation to make it disappear. So the action is make that picker view appear, which is an animation, which makes it scroll up from the screen. And then when we're done, which is called the same way as before, the view disappears, which sets up this animation to make the picker view go down nicely. And, well, the rest of the code is still the same. So this is quite a whistle-stop tour, but please do look at the links in the description for the GitHub code for this. I think it makes it a lot easier. So that was reasonably short and sweet. I hope that was of use to you, and maybe see you next time. Thank you.